And we are live. How about you, everybody? Welcome into this week's edition of the Auburn Live Call-In Show. Today is Sunday, October the 30th. Hallows Eve. Is that right? Anyways, I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. If you're not a member of that site, you're absolutely missing out, especially this time of year. My goodness, there's a lot going on in Auburn. We're doing everything we can to bring it to you the best way we know how. Tonight, we're going to let you guys dictate the show, the topics. I'm sure most of you want to know about the athletic director search, and we've got a special guest. I don't know if he's a guest, but he's making a special appearance. Let's put it that way. Mr. Justin Hokanson from Auburn Live. We've also got Mr. Jhead down there, and Mr. Keith Niebuhr's down there too. He won't wink at me, but I think he's alive. Hey! All right. If you've been living under a rock, you won't know that Auburn lost to Arkansas. Have no idea what the score was. I think it was a couple touchdowns, and it really wasn't that close, to be honest with you. I stopped watching closely, but I did know the only thing I really saw the second half that really stood out to me was.
I knew it was coming.
Throw him the damn ball, dude. Throw him the damn ball. Hey, what'd I tell you? If I had it first and goal from the 10, I'm throwing to 17 4 times. It only took once. TD, big dog. I'm proud of it. I'm glad. That's awesome. Awesome kid. Good. Glad to see him having success. That was the only one of the few bright spots of the day for Auburn. But all eyes, all attention, all interest seems to be, and understandably so, on the athletics director. Auburn does not have one. They have an interim in Rich McGlynn. A lot of names being floated out. Justin Hokanson has been there all the way through it. Justin, what's the latest, big dog? Where do we stand?
By the way, I feel honored to be on this be on the show with you guys.
You should be.
The award-winning Auburn College Show. I would say where they stand right now is, I would say things are paused as of Sunday. And what I mean by that is I think President Roberts is trying to make a decision. And I think that decision is, do I move forward with John Cohen? Do I pull back? And do I need more time to think about this? Do I pull back and say, okay, I can't go that direction? Do I move back towards Rich McGlynn, or do I go back into a search? Do I call John Hartwell back? Whatever. So I think Sunday was a day of decision-making for Chris Roberts. I know that phone calls were still being made to him today from important people, again, expressing concern about John Cohen. I know that he was less responsive to people today, Chris Roberts. So, I think that just speaks to him trying to figure out what's the move. What do I do? And again, I think that there's nothing, I don't know how to say this. There's nothing people that are expressing concerns are not demanding he do anything. They're not giving him ultimatums. That's not what's going on. I mean,
right.
They have told him it's his hire. They're upset because they weren't at least, hey, I think what they wanted was, hey, here's who I'm thinking about going with. Any objections? Anybody got anything? That didn't happen. And they want a home run.
Right.
And if they don't think they can get a home run, they'd rather just stay in-house, and they don't consider John Cohen a home run. So that's the pushback. That's the concerns. And I think that's what was going on today was Roberts figuring out what to do.
Do we all agree, Jhead included, that John Hartwell is on the outside now looking in?
I would say so. As of today, being that a in-person interview has not occurred to this point, being that, kind of the momentum that John Cohen had going into Saturday, and being that Rich McGlynn is right there and obviously has a working relationship with our current president. I think it's fair to say he's outside looking in, but that can change, on a dime. because John Cohen's
Sure.
phone wasn't heard until late Thursday night, early Friday morning, and then we saw how that happened. So there's nothing to say that that can't change again. But I agree with Hope that there's a decision that's being made, I think, as far as what Cohen's immediate future is he going to continue moving forward with that, or is he going to reset? And I got to think at this point, the easiest thing to do is probably to pivot to Rich McGlynn, but that would be me thinking for the president, and I would not like to do that right now. And I think there's a lot going on there. And as much as I would like to say that things should be simple for Auburn, unfortunately, it is never that way. So a lot to unpack here, and I'm sure our callers are really going to have some questions as far as that's concerned.
I think, Jhead, you said a couple of weeks ago, something just didn't seem right about Hartwell. You know, if it hadn't happened before then, like, what's the holdup, right? There was something that was keeping Chris Roberts from making that call. He never did, and maybe that's why we're seeing him kind of fade. Justin, I will say this: what you just said is, and we're not talking to the same people. It might be the same group of people, but it's certainly not the same people. But absolutely, I was told this afternoon that home run hire or Rich McGlynn, and that a lot of people didn't view John Cohen a home run hire. So what's next? I guess, Roberts has got to make his call. At least he's hearing some of these guys out and getting their opinions and thoughts and concerns. And to me, honestly, I don't know that it's anti-John Cohen as much as it is pro-Rich McGlynn, if that's going to be the –
It's a little of both.
Okay.
It's a little of both. I think
and I don't know I don't know anything about John Cohen. I didn't know his name until 48 hours ago. He could be the best AD. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. I think it's a little of both. I think there's concern about whoever the hire is needs to be somebody the caliber of they hit the ground running. And there's no time to waste. And I think there's some concern about Cohen and coming in. I don't know. That's just they're not my concerns, and they're their concerns. The people that are calling Roberts, and that's around. They need somebody. That's why they're like, if it's not a home run, McGlynn, because they just feel like there's no time to get somebody ease somebody into it or get them used to Auburn or whatever it is. And clearly they don't think. And when I say they, we're talking about influential, high money, high level boosters. And we are talking about some coaches. And no, I'm not going to say names. Why would I do that? But there are coaches, that are not on board with that. You can say that's because they like McGlynn. It doesn't really matter. They're just not on board with John Cohen. And so it's a combination of those people. I spoke to somebody this morning, and he echoed the same thing he told me last night. And this is somebody that's heavily involved in the circle of people that matter.
Sure. He
said, I cannot find anybody. He goes, booster coaches. He goes, I literally am calling around, and we're going, hey, is anybody, what do you think? I can't find anybody to tell me that they support the hire of John Cohen. I can't find anybody. That's what he said. Whether it's a booster, whether it's another coach. He's like, I can't get anybody to go, no, this dude's legit. Great job, great hire. I can't find anybody.
Easy choice.
That is supporting. Everybody's like confused and just not on board. That's what he said. I can't find anybody to think it's a good hire.
Jhead, tell us. I'm sure you know more about John Cohen than we do, but give us a little bit of what you know about him.
Okay. So with regard to John Cohen, the athletic director, and then John Cohen, the baseball coach, obviously longtime SEC baseball coach, was an assistant for 3 years at Florida, was a head coach at Kentucky, left Kentucky to come to his alma mater in Mississippi State, went to one College World Series there. When the AD that we all know, Scott Strickland, was at Mississippi State, he kind of groomed Cohen for that position to a degree. And once he moved on to Florida, then Cohen assumed that position relatively quickly and has been there for the last 7 seasons. He made an unsuccessful football hire in Joe Moorhead, quickly, once they realized that was not a fit, hired a big personality in Mike Leach, which seems to have worked at Mississippi State. And probably not to the same degree that Dan Mullen did, but it also took Mullen several seasons to get it going at Mississippi State before he really got it rolling. And then obviously there were some up and down seasons when it came to that. He just hired a brand new basketball coach after parting ways with Ben. What's Ben's last name? Jesus.
Howland.
Yeah. Who was from Mexico State. And obviously everybody knows that New Mexico State gave Auburn serious trouble in the NCAA tournament back in 2019. Fantastic basketball coach hire. He's made a second women's basketball coach hire, I believe, and brought in somebody that is familiar with, that people are familiar with in the Auburn landscape. So
who did he choose her over?
Sam Purcell, former Auburn assistant, I believe.
But who didn't get the job?
Yeah, well, that was the
one before.
Yeah. Joni was, that was the other basketball coach he's parted ways with. So he's made some good hires. I think he's also probably, like a lot of first-time ADs, he's made a hire that he probably wished he hadn't with regard to Joe Moorhead. So mixed bag there as far as that's concerned. I do know that he's been a decent fundraiser, that they have built some facilities there at Mississippi State with his assistants. Obviously, they've built a Taj Mahal over there at for their baseball field. So a big hand in that as far as that's concerned. But I'd be lying to you if I told you the everyday operation of, how John Cohen has operated at Mississippi State and what his relationship is there with those boosters. I would be speaking completely out of turn.
I think there is one thing that was relayed to me today. I don't know if you call it concern, but, Cohen was raised in Tuscaloosa. He went to high school there, Tuscaloosa. He has little to no connections to Auburn, if I'm not mistaken. His connections are hometown of Tuscaloosa, alma mater, Mississippi State, spent some time at Kentucky. So he's been in the SEC, but he hasn't been at Auburn, doesn't really know the intricacies of Auburn. And listen, let's be honest here. Nobody gives a darn at Auburn right now, at least fan-wise, what this guy can do other than, A, fire a coach, and B, hire a coach.
That's right.
That's what everybody is waiting for. And that's what the next AD, whomever it may be, their legacy will be built or destroyed on the first decision they make or the second decision they make. The first one seems pretty easy at this point. So it's going to be about the coaching hire. It always is at Auburn. You get that right, and you're a hero. You don't, and you're a goat, and not in the good way. Keith jumping in here.
Jump in. A couple things. The hiring of Joe Moorhead is now panned, but when he hired Joe Moorhead, it was universally praised. That was a guy that was an offensive genius, and he went 14-12 there. It's not like he went. What's Harson's record right now? It's not like his record was.
Oh shit!
Giving toe tags early, easy, Keith.
No, I'm just kidding. The guy went 14-12. He wasn't a complete failure. It was a culture fit type of thing. But again, that was a hire that was fairly. Look, you remember the Mississippi State media? We know a lot of these guys, good guys. Mm-hmm. They were sort of glad that Mullen was gone. Thank God he's gone. And now we got this guy. Now Mississippi State's got this guy. And then it didn't really work out. And then Leach, obviously, his record is just okay, but he has kept Mississippi State in that spotlight, correct? They're as relevant as they've been in a while, quite frankly. So I wouldn't call those two fair. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Sure.
Then the other thing and again, I don't know the guy, but to the end, there's got to be some yanks. So people have been posting on their message boards, hey, look where Mississippi State finished in the all sports standings in the SEC. And they were way down there, like 12th, 13th, 14th in that region. But then you look at Mississippi State's athletic budget, and the most recent athletic budget I could find, I believe, was 2018, 2019. And they were 12th in the SEC out of 13 teams. Vanderbilt, being a private school, does not have to release its numbers, but probably was below that. But so where they finish across the board in athletics is pretty much in line with the amount of money they spend. Now, Tennessee spends less than Georgia and finished above Georgia last year in the all-sports standing. So there's always some that move up and some that move down. But again, not an athletic department that's kicking tail in a lot of sports, but also not an athletic department that's spending a lot of money in a lot of sports. Now, the only other thing, and Justin, I want to say, has done a great job covering this because I can't even keep track of it all. It's coming from so many different angles, so I want to give credit where it's due here. But if you now don't hire this guy, how does he go back to Mississippi State? How can he be effective? Okay, and so this brings me to my final point, and then I'm going to let the experts talk here. But people say, well, why weren't all these people consulted? And I don't know who you consult, who you don't consult. All I know is, Jeff, you got great sources. Justin's got great sources. Jhead's got great sources. And people talk. And when you talk, that muddies the waters when it comes to hiring. Okay, that compromises the integrity of a search. And what happens? What just happened in the last 24 hours when people found out that a guy may be getting the job and they don't necessarily care for the guy, the people that don't. So a president, or when it's Joe Cohen or John Hartwell or Rich McGlynn or somebody else's turn to then hire a football coach, they need they need people like us not digging, basically, and they need sources keeping quiet, or they need to limit the amount of people who really know stuff, and that's the key. And so once people know things, it gets out, and that makes it harder to do a search. And again, I'm not saying that a Bruce Pearl or somebody should know, but stuff always seems to get out, and it can really hurt a search. Let's put it that way. But anyway, go ahead, Justin.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, if I never reported anything, wouldn't change a thing. They weren't consulted. Calls were already being made, whether I post about it or not.
No. I know that, but I'm saying, people say, well, why wouldn't you, as an AD, why wouldn't you bring all your coaches in or all the people and tell them what's going on? Because people talk. It's that simple.
Yeah, not everybody. I don't think.
Not everybody.
I'm saying you don't want to bring in everybody.
But a new president who's been told it's your hire doesn't know who talks and who doesn't talk.
No, I didn't mean. Hold on. I didn't mean some people talk. I mean, you don't need to bring in everybody.
Sure.
You're just, the people. To me, you should know the people you need to bring in and say, hey, here's who I'm going to hire. Are there any objections? Is there anything you guys want to say?
Yeah.
This is I've gone through the process. This is who I believe in. This is who I'm going to hire. Unless there is some real compelling reason not to. To me, I think that's all they were looking for.
I think the dynamic that makes it interesting, Justin, you know far more than me. I'm just looking at it just from a regular man perspective here, not the guy that's knee deep in it like you covering it. But so Rich McGlynn is your AD, and he's also interim AD, and he's also up for the job. And he also knows a lot of these coaches. So you may bring in a guy that you think is really trustworthy, and he might be. These are all good people, by the way. We all know them. But then that person may tell McGlynn what's going on. I mean, it can circulate pretty fast. I'm just saying I'm a little sympathetic. All I'm really saying is I'm a little sympathetic. Hard to believe a reporter saying this, but a little sympathetic to the president, a guy that's new and trying to figure out who can he tell and who can. I don't know.
I actually think
it's a situation.
Well, and I actually think that Roberts has done a pretty dang good job of keeping information in tight circles. I mean, I know there's some, I'm just saying he has. Like he's done. It's been an important thing for him to not have leaks. It happens, but it's been important to him. I don't think he's done a bad job in that regard. I just think it kind of came to a head when you didn't consult it. That's what I think everybody was caught off guard with, including the concerns about him anyways. Like we have concerns and we didn't know about it. And it just kind of these guys, everybody learned about it at once. This is tweeted out during the Auburn football game and everybody learns about it at once.
This was very odd.
How'd you like to
Butch Thompson, they're all like, what? Huh?
If Cohen doesn't get this job now, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But I mean, again, getting back to that, he's got to go back to Starkville, and he's there, but you know what I mean. And people know he was looking, and Alan Green dealt with some of that here, right? People knew he was looking, and some people didn't want him there anyway. And
he's been encouraged to look.
Probably makes it hard to be the effective leader you'd like to be. Harder.
No.
Hey, Zach in the back, jump in if you got some calls. If we don't have any, somebody jump on here and break the ice. 701-779-9585. Give us a call. I know you got some questions. I know you got some comments. For Pete's sake, you've been on a message board doing it for the past 24 hours.
Woo!
What's interesting, by the way, Keith, you mentioned you're kind of or Keith and Jhead, we're talking about the hires and stuff. And I agree. Like Mississippi State's got a good team now. They've got a pretty good roster. Leach, the last couple of years has done a good job. Yet they're battling some real attendance problems with their football program too. And I don't know. I don't follow them on a daily basis. I don't know why that is, but they've had declining attendance to the point where they're like. I was reading an article the other day about them trying to figure out how to battle these attendance problems that they've been having at football. So it's even though you have Leach and you've had a decent team, the attendance has been struggling, and I don't know why. I don't know why that is.
What you got, Zach?
Got 2 callers here.
Okay.
5810. You're live. Who we talking to? Where you calling from?
Hey, good afternoon, fellas. Anthony from Montgomery.
What's up, man?
What's up, man?
Hey, what'd you say your name was?
You're waiting. Anthony from Montgomery.
Anthony, what's up, big dog?
What's up, man?
What's on your mind tonight, Anthony?
I've been waiting on this call this show since everything been going on.
All right, then. Make it count.
Let it rip, Anthony.
I got you. The whole booster thing, when people say that the boosters got their thumbprint on it, I feel like if they're the money people, give them what they want. Like, if everybody's going to get on the same page and give them what they want, how can you argue with the people that's bringing the money to the table?
Jhead.
If they're the money people, then it's no fight, it's no debate, because they're making things go as the money people. If it's gonna put everybody on the same page, why not just give them the power? I mean, don't let them. I mean, not give them the power, but let them have say so. If you bring millions to the table, of course you want to at least have a say so in what's going on.
I think that's what Justin was saying too, right? At least get my opinion on it.
That's what they're upset.
Show me a little respect.
Yeah.
Even if you don't listen to me, at least ask me.
Yeah.
At least make me feel involved. Jhead, what are your thoughts?
How can you come to me with your hand out and like you don't have no opinion, but I need your money?
It's a fine line. Jhead maybe not think so.
And a fair question. That's a totally fair.
It's a great question.
That's fair.
I think it is a fine line. And Anthony, what I would say is, when you started to say give them what they want, I think that has to be leveled to a degree. Okay. Sometimes maybe what the demands are, what they're asking for, is not necessarily in line with what's best for the university or the football program. And you have to be able, as the president and as the athletic director, be able to delineate it between those things. If they're asking for more or less just information and to have the ability to have an opinion, obviously I think that's extremely valued and that would be important. If they are asking for say-so or demanding that, then obviously that becomes a very slippery slope. And whoever that coach is, that AD is, that president is, needs to have the autonomy to make decisions that are in the best interest of the university and are not conflicted with what maybe is in the best interest of an interested party. So it's a delicate balance. You 100% absolutely want them to have an understanding of the situation and to build a consensus, but I hesitate gravely to say just give them what they want.
I think that's fair too. What do you think?
I'm sorry.
What do you think, Anthony?
Another thing, can you guys tell me one reason why Brian Hart's still our coach? Like, I don't at this point. Why? I don't know any reason why he's still the coach. It makes no sense at this point.
I completely agree, but I do think they're waiting on the AD. Does anybody disagree with me here? They want the new AD to come in, make an assessment of the football program, and then make a decision. I think that's what they're waiting on, to hire a new AD. The AD comes in for a week or two, does an assessment of the football program, and decides what's best for Auburn, which we all know that it's not Brian Harsin.
Could be an assessment next Saturday night in Starkville, right?
I've already made my assessment.
That might be an awkward situation. And
Dude, I thought about that yesterday. How freaking awesome.
all the people together in Starkville next week on both sides,
Rubbing elbows.
interim AD,
I think there's two trains of thought here, Anthony, as far as that's concerned, with regard to your question. I think first and foremost, there is hesitation by certain Auburn decision makers to promote, say, Zach Etheridge or Cadillac Williams to interim and then saddle them with a team that is going to go into a losing situation. They don't want to unfairly hinder their resume moving forward, and they're not going to promote one of the two coordinators. That's not going to happen, guys.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, do you really want to hurt a young coach that's still on the precipice of their career and give them some unfair losses? The second is that Jay Lee's right. I think there is a serious drive for there to be an AD in place and for all of this to be done through the focal point of the AD to make the decision to move on from said person. I don't think that they want to necessarily clear the decks before whoever it is walks in, right or wrong. I think that's the tactic that they're using right now, or that's kind of their vision, is for this person to come in, make the assessment, be the hero, move on, and then we start with the coaching search as far as that's concerned. That's kind of a read of it anyway.
Talk about he being a hero, man. That's teeing it up right there.
It is.
Just throwing a little softball, and I think the dateline kind of works out right. If you think about, Jay has been saying, post A&M kind of lines up with getting AD in now, and then you've got a little less than 2 weeks to make your assessment.
Sure. And
maybe, and then put Zach or Cadillac or whomever it is that you want to be your interim coach in at least a winnable situation against Western Kentucky. Nobody expects you to win at Alabama. Hell, I don't even expect them to keep it close. No, I don't even. Nobody expects it respectable for that matter. But so I think everybody's pretty much in agreement. Get your AD in as soon as possible. Hopefully by the end of the week. My God, hopefully by the end of the week. Give him 10 days to make his assessment, get his feet wet, and then make a call maybe after A&M on November the 12th. Give the interim coach a week to prepare for Western Kentucky at home, final home game. I'm sure the crowd will be very encouraging and very supportive of whomever it is that's roaming the sidelines for the Auburn Tigers on that day. Let him get a win under the belt and then go to Alabama and just do the best you can.
Maybe.
What if they beat A&M?
Yeah, right.
What if they beat A&M, who was, by all accounts, not great? Now, they may have found a quarterback last night.
No chance.
But
they did find a quarterback last night.
At home, no chance at all.
No.
A team that's having a team that can't score and may quit very soon.
But what if they beat him?
Well, no, you're still getting rid of him at the end of the season, but then would you get rid of him after that game the next day, though?
Yes.
Even after a win, you would get rid of a guy?
Yeah.
Do you? I mean,
I'm with Justin. What Justin said.
Hey, look, I think it should have been done already.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And by the way, and I say that out of fairness to Brian Harsin.
Sure.
Let him go look for a job. I've seen guys get fired in midseason before, and they end up getting a little sympathy, quite frankly, that helped them lead to other jobs.
You see that at Georgia Southern right now with Clay Helton.
Yeah, Ron Zook at Illinois. I mean, things like that. So I've seen it happen before. I just thought it'd be kind of funny if they end up beating A&M and then you turn around and can the guy. Now they did fire Gus after beating Mississippi State. So
yeah, two questions here.
I'll tell you one thing, guys. It's exhausting at this point.
Say it. Oh, it is very exhausting. Yes.
Beyond.
Anthony, I forgot you're on the line, brother. My bad.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you guys taking my call. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks for the call, Anthony. We appreciate you, big dog.
Zach, real quick, two questions. Number one, if Jimbo comes to Auburn and loses, what do you think that A&M program is like? Two, no, I don't think it changes anything that you probably part ways anyway. Does anybody think that a win against A&M changes any dynamic at all at this point?
You're basically you're playing for next to last place in the West.
Yeah.
Well, there's not really much to celebrate there. All right, Zach, keep us rolling.
9151. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Zach, keep us rolling.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hey, man, who is this? Where are you calling from?
This is Tyler Phillips from Birmingham. How's it going, guys?
Tyler from Birmingham.
Yes, sir.
Dude, you're breaking up on us, Tyler. Be hold Hold your hand out the window or something.
Yeah, I'm outside now.
Okay.
Okay. I guess my question is, can we really expect Auburn to hire an AD, that's the football program, fire the head coach, and then hire the head coach all within the next probably 30 days?
When you put it like that.
Yes.
I think the first two is quick.
The last 24 hours have not given me a lot of faith, but yes,
Right.
they can.
I remember, again, I've only covered one other school, so I have to talk about this school. But I remember I covered another school, we'll say in the SEC East, and a coach left, and the athletic director, very prominent athletic director, said, "I always have a list. I don't wait till it happens to find a list. I always have a list." So whether it's John Hartwell, John Cohen, Rich McGlynn, or someone else, they kind of have an idea which direction they'd want to go in. Now obviously if it's an outsider, they're going to need to learn some more dynamics of what Auburn is all about. But I mean, but they're always sort of prepared is the best you can be. They know what they like. And, I guess the question, only Justin can answer this, I guess, or Justin can answer best. What kind of autonomy, what kind of true autonomy is the AD going to have? This is the president's hire for the AD, and he's supposed to have full autonomy, and yet here's a little blowback, a little pushback.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. And actually, I meant to respond to something you said, Keith, earlier, and I forgot. On the coaching hire, so that's one of the things that I was told earlier today was, one, if this is, they expected more from Chris Roberts. This is not what they expected to be the choice. Okay. They're not high on it. They're underwhelmed. Right. And so they're also thinking, okay, he was also going to make the football coach hire or certainly be a big part of that. And now I was told this morning, okay, well, if this is kind of this is where you went on AD. Okay. Now we're taking a step back on how we're viewing how much authority or room we give you on a football coaching hire. They're like, wait a minute. So that's their thinking. That's some of their thinking. And the other thing was, given how this has gone the last 24 hours, whoever the AD is, whatever gets figured out, I think that those influential people are now going to want to go to Roberts and say, okay, let's have a little powwow because we're not doing this again. We're going to, however we do the football coach, you can go through the process, but we're going to be consulted and we're going to have a say and we're going to have feedback. And they're going to try to get their ducks in order. So it also presents a little bit of kinks in moving forward that way of guys, I don't know, I guess losing a little bit of confidence of how maybe they thought it might go versus, how it could go. If that makes sense. Sorry, I was trying to kind of weave through that, but there's just
that makes sense. I was just saying. I mean, you need to be coached by December 5th at the latest.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, December 5th was the official opening. It doesn't have to be the. I would say 15th. Man, you've got the early signing period, December 21st.
Right.
You've got the last weekend of official visits the week before that, so you're looking at the middle of December.
Well, I think people are thinking because the AD search has taken so long, and again, I'm just a casual fan here. So what might I be thinking? This AD search is taking so long. Does that mean the head coaching search is going to take long too? And they're two mutually exclusive things.
Right. I think that's what Tyler was getting at.
Yeah. Once you've identified who your 4 coaching targets, head coaching targets are, things happen fast, man. You know what I mean? You're dealing with agents. Guys already know whether they want to leave or not. It happens overnight sometimes. So,
right. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Appreciate you, Tyler. Appreciate it, man.
Peace.
You would like? Roll it on, big dog.
All right, 9433. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Rod from Atlanta. I actually just kind of wanted to hear your guys' opinion on something I've been kind of thinking about as far as the lack of leadership at Auburn. And nobody kind of ever really brings this up when they're talking about a lack of the ability to make decisions. is that when we lost Pat Dye, I feel like Auburn kind of lost a piece of leadership that actually was an integral part in making decisions at Auburn. And I know this because I know him personally, or knew him personally, and worked in state government where he came into the state house often. And he always did mention how large of a part he was in helping make the decisions there. And he wasn't just a figurehead. So just kind of wanted to hear your opinion on something that nobody really brings up since his passing.
I will, Rod, here's my amateur opinion on that. Man, everybody respected Pat Dye. They respected what right? Like, they trusted his judgment. I don't think there is that guy right now at Auburn, Jhead.
Exactly.
Well, I'd argue there's not those two guys. So Pat Dye and a Bobby Louder at the same time, love him or hate him.
I was going to say Louder, yeah.
Yeah, there's not somebody there to organize some of the influential people that are going to have a say in certain decisions. If you had that aspect of it, I think you could get by without necessarily having a coach of the personality and dynamic of Pat Dye. But you don't have either one of those things right now. And it becomes altogether a very difficult situation, especially in a state as political as Alabama, in a position that Auburn finds itself in right now where it's having to get itself up off the mat. So that's why there's been so much probably angst and anxiety about this hire with the athletic director position. And obviously with what's coming with a football coaching search, because there are a lot of people in Auburn that feel as though this is our time. We have to get this right. We can't afford to take a step backwards here or to go middle of the road. We need somebody that's going to elevate this program and is going to be able to take us in this NIL era and an era where we may be getting into players getting officially paid off of a TV contract or what have you, moving into this next landscape or stratosphere with the transition committee out there. What's going to happen next? And it's got everybody very, very antsy, and especially with Texas and Oklahoma coming in very soon, so the competition getting even tougher. And I'll defer to Justin from here, but that's just kind of my thought process.
No, I agree. I agree with everything you said. I was going to mention, I was thinking Louder when he was talking about that, yeah, and you're right, good or bad.
Sure was a lot smoother, wasn't it?
Just somebody to wrangle everything together.
Somebody that people trust and respect. I mean, you've got guys, think they know what's best for Auburn, but nobody really trusts them. That's why you talk about the alignment at Auburn, and nobody's in a line, and they haven't been, because people would get behind Pat Dye and Bobby Louder and say, we trust you, we respect your opinion, we respect your decisions, let's go. I'm all for it.
Well, like a perfect
There's not that
I think that also
Go ahead, Rod.
Kind of lends to the point that Bo Jackson has always been involved in the coaching searches as well. And he just did an interview the other day where he was talking about, he didn't give an affirmative answer on whether or not he'd want Deion at Auburn, but he was at least talking about him in a positive light. And I wonder if he has any say, obviously because he's a respected person around Auburn, in the AD search.
I don't think anybody respects Bo's opinion on an AD. I'm just being honest. I may be totally off here, but it's like Dave Chappelle's skit when things are going bad. Like, well, what's Ja Rule think? Nobody gives a shit about what Ja Rule thinks when it comes to natural disasters and stuff. To me, it would be like, hey, Bo, hey, what do you think about this guy? Okay, cool. Thanks for letting us know your opinion. But I don't see him being influential in any decision. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
No, I think athletic director is so much more nuanced than a football coach as far as Bo's scope of how an athletic department runs and the day-to-day operations of every sport and every coach and the financial needs. I'm not saying that Bo probably couldn't provide an educated opinion, but I don't think that anybody's seeking Bo out with regards to an athletic director. Now, a football coach, where he spent the majority of his life competing in that sport, understanding what works at Auburn, the culture that works at Auburn.
And specifically Deion, Jhead. I mean, Bo knows Deion personally. So I would at least go to Bo and say, hey, on a personal level, what do you think about this guy and the fit at Auburn?
Exactly.
So I could see that, Rod. Yes, absolutely.
sure. But with the athletic director,
No.
no.
Man, I thought I had something else to say. I had a little brain toot.
It happens to the best of us, brother.
Oh, it was good too.
Go ahead.
And while we're on it, just so people know, the AD hire is being made ultimately by Chris Roberts, Quentin Riggins, and Kim Evans. That's it. That's the three. That's the trio. I mean, so the circle's tight. Now, why? I don't know. That's Roberts. I mean, he's gonna have people he trusts. Quentin Riggins is somebody that I think Auburn fans. I don't think any Auburn fans would have an issue of him having a say in it. Don't know a lot about Kim Evans. I'm not sure. Obviously, she moved on to that administration position, I guess 6 or 7 years ago. But that's the group that's ultimately making this AD hire, unless some other people don't agree with it.
Well, you talk about going and getting somebody's opinion. I would expect Chris Roberts to go to his most successful coaches.
You would think so. You'd think that'd be a pretty good move.
I would go to my most successful coaches and say, "Hey, man, here's where I am. What do you think?"
Yeah.
What do you think? But that's just me. I'm certainly not a qualified to be a university president.
Yeah, there's people on that side of things that certainly feel like he has fallen short in doing that.
One of the issues is when you all three of these candidates that we've mentioned. Well, let's put it this way: Santa Claus's approval rate is what, 60%, right?
I mean, my house is 100.
There's but my point being, there's no candidate that's going to make everybody happy. But you guys make a great point. Seek out the people, your important coaches. However, if they haven't worked with them, they would be then leaning on people they know that maybe have worked with them. And that can be good and bad too. I mean, there's no perfect way to do this. At the end of the day, you got to kind of roll the dice a little bit, take a leap of faith, go with your gut. But in making an informed decision, you would like to want to know what Bruce Pearl thought. And that doesn't mean you have to do everything he says. He's not he doesn't have the right answer on everything, as bright as he is and as successful as he is. But Justin makes a great point. Maybe listening to him certainly isn't a bad thing. At least he knows you've got his ear, or he's got your ear, I guess.
Just out of respect, if nothing else.
That's right. So I can totally understand that. But again, I just don't think there's a perfect way to do this. And if there is a home run hire out there, who is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
And I will say this, from what I was told on this situation, now, I can't speak for the coaching aspect of it. I haven't been able to, to talk to anybody that would give me any insight there as far as that's concerned. I have to lean on what Jeffrey and Justin have reported to this point, obviously. But as far as influential people, at the onset of the AD search, I do know that Chris Roberts was listening to people as far as what the characteristics of an athletic director of what they were looking for. Now, maybe he thought John Cohen fit those characteristics. That I don't know. And I do want to throw that out there. Did he obviously he didn't mention John Cohen to these people specifically to ask their opinion, but I do think that he thought, if I'm making this decision, I'm doing this with these people's feedback in mind. And this is kind of my assessment of their feedback and somebody I think meets that criteria.
I think that's totally fair. I think that's totally fair. I think that, and those guys have given him space to me, and they've told him it's your hire. Like, I think that's very fair and accurate, and I wouldn't disagree with that. He thinks whatever that this is the guy, and I bet you all the phone calls yesterday were probably a little surprising to him potentially. Like, oh wow, so it sounds like it was a surprise to everybody. So yeah, I don't put any kind of motive or anything on Chris Roberts. I think he listened. I think he was trying to hire the right guy. Yeah, that's what I think. I think when people are reacting to this, there's, the process is still going on, and I don't want to make judgments. But outside of literally the last 24 hours, where maybe Robert should have given these people a heads up, just appease them, whatever. I don't have really an issue with kind of how he's gone about it. Not talking about timeline. I don't really know that, but I don't really have an issue in the way that the influential people and stuff. Those coaches have supported Roberts, like I know that people like Butch Thompson and Bruce Pearl have said, we support you, Chris Roberts. We will support your hire. Doesn't mean they support literally the guy. They're trying to support Chris in the process.
Absolutely.
So I don't think there's as much turmoil as people are kind of making it out to be. It's just surprising events, people making phone calls. We're on a little bit of a pause, but I don't think there's a bunch of people butting heads or anything like that. I mean,
I hear you.
Chris Roberts is listening. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Bruce Pearl is staying out of it. I think if you asked him, you have a preference, he might have a personal preference, but he's staying out of it. Like Justin said, he's supporting Chris Roberts. He doesn't want to be involved in making demands or anything like that. I think to the best of his ability, he's staying out of it. Might have a personal preference there, but he is not going to voice that opinion to Chris Roberts.
He does not like that, by the way. I mean, I can tell you, he does not like the reputation and the things that have happened in the past at Auburn where people get involved and everybody's got to have a say. And he is not a fan of that.
That's why he's staying out of it.
Yeah. He's too smart for that. I mean, let's give him
credit here. Yeah, absolutely.
That's how you obviously tarnish your legacy, by inserting bias and gravitating to one side or another. Bruce is too savvy, and good for him for not interjecting as far as that's concerned.
Hey, Rod, we appreciate the call, big dog.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Hope we get it turned around soon.
Appreciate you, man. Zach, anybody online?
2 more people.
Okay, keep us rolling.
8279, you're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Mobile alum from Spanish Fort.
Mobile alum.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, Jhead, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for calling in.
Absolutely. So I got a question. Since there's now this obvious disconnect between the boosters, powers that be, important people, I think Justin said, and Roberts, and we're running into a time crunch here, right? We're looking at a little over a month before early signing day. Is that right, guys?
6 weeks.
December 21st.
7 weeks.
If we bring somebody brand new in that has to get the lay of the land, shall we say, how much time is that going to take just to figure out whether or not firing Harsin is the right thing to do? And I say right in quotations. And then to figure out who the best, this has got to be a home run hire with the head coach. Seems to me that maybe Rich McGlynn kind of makes sense at this point. He knows all that time spent by a brand new person coming in, he wouldn't have to do.
All right.
But my question is, does he have the support of the important people to be AD? What do you all think?
The answer to that's yes, and then I'll let Jay. Yeah.
No, go ahead, Justin.
That's all I have to add too. Yes.
Yeah, he's got the support. He's got the support. Yeah, of a lot of people. Yeah.
Yes, support to make this hire. But what I will tell you is, as far as that's concerned, what I was able to flush out with regard to some of the Zoom interviews is there was a question that was proposed to what happens if you walk into a dire situation and there needs to be a change, or if there's turmoil going on, how would you handle that? These candidates that they vetted were prefaced with this question because they understand the situation. I think anybody that comes into Auburn at this point is not going to have to make a long-term assessment of the situation to understand that it is dire, and that probably a parting of ways, it is what's best for the university and is what's best for Brian Harsin. So while I understand that you're saying there's fear, concern that maybe a new athletic director could come in and want to have a full year to assess Brian Harsin, I don't foresee that to be a situation. In fact, I said this.
I hope not. No, Jhead, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just talking weeks. I can't believe anybody would ever dream that man needs to be here any longer than necessary. I hope not.
Hey, Maul, Mobile alum, short, M.A., Maul. Listen, we talked about this earlier, but there are 2 decisions that need to be made quickly by this new AD, and the first one's going to be easy as hell. And they're going to do their due diligence, and they're going to make their assessment. That's easy. That's in days, in my opinion.
Yes.
That's in days. The first decision is easy. You make that. Now you're difficult, because think about everything that this could be a monumental time in Auburn football history. You've got the NIL on the way up. You've got the football only facility coming in. You got the new president, a new AD, and now you're going to have a new head football coach. This could be a big deal, and it has to be, right?
Yep, sure does.
So you got two decisions: one easy, and one that may be a little bit more difficult. Well, at least a lot of pressure on you to make it, to get it right.
Yeah, very difficult. And I think there needs to be. I know the fan base wants somebody by December 5th because you want to start to salvage this recruiting class. But to me, it is more important to have buy-in from everyone involved and understanding that this is going to be a complete rebuild. I mean, I think we all talk about the roster management and how it's been to this point and what we're looking at of the composition of a roster moving into next year. The most important thing this next head coach can do is, A, have fundamental buy-in from all parties concerned and understand that it's going to take time to get this right. And two, that OTV's on solid ground and we're going to smash it in the transfer portal. That is where you're going to make the majority of your hay as far as that's concerned. Now, I think there are high school recruits and junior college recruits that you obviously want to have somebody in on relatively quickly and start to cultivate a relationship to be able to maybe sign them. But that transfer portal window is going to run a lot longer. That's 45 days from December 5th until that window closes, and then you get another 15-day window in the spring. I think it's May 1st to May 15th. Am I correct there, guys?
Sounds right.
Where you're going.
Or is it in April?
Yeah, is it April or is it May? I can't remember. Either which way, that's where the majority of your roster composition is going to happen. And I know Keith's getting ready to jump me here because he knows, just like I do, that all the big teams are going to be in the portal as well, and they're all going to be fighting for quality candidates.
Yeah, you're not going to get everybody you want.
You're not.
You're just looking at the roster improvement and then some depth pieces. But I will say this now: whoever you hire, if you hire a coach December 5th. And just for argument's sake, let's say it's a guy, Lane Kiffin or Hugh Freeze. I'm just throwing those names out there.
Sure.
You're probably going to have a quarterback in this class.
May 1st to 15th. You're right.
There's going to be some guys. They got 11 commitments now. Not all those guys are going to be in the class.
Nope.
Some of those guys are going to leave on their own. Some of those guys are just going to not be recruited. They won't get any phone calls. Unfortunately, it's a terrible thing. What do you do when you break up with somebody? You either lay it out, or you just run away.
You turn your head and cough.
So, look, there's going to be a lot of work ahead, but it's not how many you sign in December. You will still have a lot of kids now that may right now want to sign in December may say, well, what the hell? Why don't I just wait? I'm not an early enrollee. Let me get to know these guys. What's 6 more weeks harm for me to get to know these Auburn coaches? Whoever these new assistants are going to be, they're going to maybe have their own guys, 1 or 2 guys each that they're really locked in on.
Yeah.
That we're going to the school they were at because of that specific coach. So, and then you have those, so that'll be December, and you got that signing period in February. And look, Jhead, I think they will do well in the portal, better than they have done. But I don't know that it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Now, what you hope is you've got a coaching staff that is so well connected.
Mm-hmm.
They know who's going in the portal. 2 things. They know who's going in the portal before they enter the portal.
Yes.
And 2, guys enter the portal because those guys are going to Auburn, which we never talked about. I don't feel like I need to get in the portal, but wait a second. This guy's going to be at Auburn. Let me take a second look at this.
Well, and the other thing we talked about is the free agency aspect of it, of guys that do not currently have NIL deals at the school that they're at, dipping their toe in that transfer portal because they want to see what's out there at market value. I think you're going to see more of that this year than you have ever seen. And obviously, we're just at the start of all this.
Somebody might need me a little bit more.
You're right.
And, guys, one more question. I've heard that as of right now, some people think that Dion and Rule are kind of the top 2 candidates right now. What do you – if y'all still think that's accurate, and what do y'all think about those guys? And I'll hang up and listen.
Appreciate you, Ma.
Guys.
I don't think anything's accurate on if you're trying to talk about a head coach right now, it's not accurate. The only time I actually thought I had some accuracy was when John Hartwell was the presumed favorite at one point, because there were some things happening that pointed to some potential head coaches. Right now, no.
All you can really do at this point is go, well, who's available, or who might Auburn be able to get, right?
Sure. And Auburn potentially could get either one of those guys.
And that's why you're hearing those names.
Right, and I wouldn't consider them favorites by any means. Like Justin said, who the athletic director is and who they're able to kind of bring into the fold to a degree and sell to people that matter, sell to Chris Roberts, that's going to be important as far as that's concerned. Building a case for that candidate to be able to compete in the SEC from day one with Kirby and Saban and Lane and Josh Heupel and everybody else. A case is going to have to be made for whoever that candidate's going to be, because I don't think it's very clear cut at this point who exactly could walk into this situation and be successful.
I'm telling you guys, I know fans are fretting, and I think, we talk to coaches, all of us. Man, there's a lot of people that would want this job. There are a lot of people, and there are going to be, Justin, unfortunately, Justin's going to be the one having to track all this stuff down. Justin and I got to deliver some bad news to you. There's going to be surprises that pop up every day, as you know, and you just never really know. You never know who's out there. Brian Kelly to LSU is the perfect example. Lincoln Riley at USC makes sense. There have been rumors, and that's a marquee program with unbelievable recruiting base where you don't really have any competition, right? But Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame to go to LSU, which obviously is another great program, but who would think a guy would leave Notre Dame, right? And so what that's done is that's really made a lot of people, I think, out there think maybe you don't need to limit yourself. Maybe you don't need to limit yourself. So it's going to be fascinating to watch, obviously.
Zach, I'm sorry.
No, Keith, you have a very interesting point, and I want to hear Justin on this, because look at the market right now for the teams that are without coaches. Colorado, Nebraska, Georgia Tech?
Yeah.
Auburn's a helmet program. It's a top 15 program when it's run right. You're a program that has won a national championship in the not too recent past. That's going to reset the market when we become available, 100%. So I don't think that Auburn Brass is overly concerned with the quality of candidate. I just don't know that there is necessarily a clear-cut person that everybody at Auburn's like, this is the person we have to get right now.
Well, can I say one thing before Justin goes? But the next Kirby Smart is out there right now. We don't know who it is. That's their job to identify. But whoever the next stars of football are, they're out there. Again, the hard part's identifying who they are, but they are out there.
Good point.
Sorry, Justin, go ahead.
No, you're good. I do think it'll reset the board. I do think Auburn is the best job perceived to be going to be available and going to be available. So yeah, I've always thought that in that regard, there was no real pressure to beat anybody to the punch, or we got to get rid of the coach to get on the market. Like I never thought there was the pressure there. And then look, I think depending on who the AD is does change things, because maybe that person maybe they have somebody in mind, but maybe they're a kind of personality that could go potentially try to help land somebody that we haven't thought of before. I don't know. It depends on who that guy is. There's just a lot of, I think still there's a lot of things on the to be determined. The one thing about the head coach
TBD
is just like my expectations. I struggle with it because I have people tell me all the time, and I think we said it on the show, like it's a can't miss. Like you can't miss. You cannot miss this head coaching hire. And I'm like, that's not a realistic expectation. To say you cannot miss this next head coaching hire, that's an awfully high bar. I don't know how you really put that on yourselves. To me, it's a huge hire, because if you do get it wrong, the dynamics the next time around are different. They're worse. They're worse off. It's not like, well, let's just not get worse and we'll redo it again. No, it's not a redo, because the dynamics are different and you're in a worse place. So it's the whole thing shifts and you start over. But to me, it's almost like you can't have a disaster hire.
Yeah.
You can't have that. I don't know if they're going to get the perfect hire. There's no way to predict that. There's too many things that have to align to make the whole thing work. And there's still you could go hire a great coach. There's still things behind the scenes right now that need to get fixed. Like, so I think it's more about like don't hire a disaster hire than hire the perfect candidate, because I don't think that's going to happen. Like, I don't think that's too high.
Justin, you make some great points, and you really, as you were talking, it made me think of just the fragility of running a program. I mean, it's just 5 years ago, guys, that Auburn, 2017 was
SEC championship,
won a national title, and now look at them. And you can fall fast, and once you fall, like once you miss on 3 or 4 years in a row at the quarterback position evaluations or the offensive line, you are dead. You are dead. It takes as long to get back. Now, not as long as it used to be with the transfer portal. But yeah, you're right, Justin. It's critical that they.
Hey, that's why my number one priority in this next football coach is a recruiter, an ace freaking elite recruiter. You know why? Because look at 2013, 2012. Gene Chizik and those guys were ace recruiters, elite recruiters. They had that roster stacked. 2012 was a disaster. And what happens the next year with Gus coming in?
They sign a quarterback and they have a system.
And it's right. So if you're gonna be a disaster coach, that's fine, but you cannot be a disaster recruiter. Auburn has to have an ace elite recruiter running the show up there. That's my first and foremost.
Yeah, sorry.
That's my number one priority for a coach.
Yeah.
Because if you suck 3 years from now, at least the roster's loaded.
Yeah, that's a point I've heard a lot. Like, okay, worst case scenario, he flames out. At least you got talent there.
Hey, Chizik flamed out. At least he had talent there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Zach, keep us going, big dog. I know we got them backed up in there. Let's knock some of these out.
Just stay in the waiting room. If you call in, we're going to get to you. We got the order. Just hang on. We've had people calling in and hanging up like 5-6 times.
All right, we'll do 5 minutes of call, man. Nothing tax.
1984. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
How's it going, guys? It's W3.
WDE 23?
33.
That's what I said.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? I haven't been able to call lately. A couple quick questions. Yeah. With the controversy with Cohen versus McGlynn or whoever we end up hiring, is there a difference in who y'all think they might go after head coach wise? And then same kind of question for coordinators, because I think that's going to be the real kind of difference maker with this hire. So we bring in a coordinator.
I don't think I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's a difference in who Cohen would go after, who McGlynn would go after as a head coach. I don't know.
I think the only difference for me is that Cohen has run 2 football coaching searches and Rich McGlynn has run absolutely 0. So the dynamics involved as far as who Rich would have assisting him would probably be different.
Oh, how it's going about. Yeah.
How it would go, it would be different, but the end product, I'm with Justin, it's TBD right now, man. It's too early to say. Once an athletic director is hired and the official parting of ways happens with Coach Harsin, then you'll start to get some intel there, some buzz. Coaches will start to talk to each other. Agents will start to gossip. All that information will start to bubble to the surface as far as which way the direction of a coaching search is going.
Does that sound good, 33?
Yeah, I just didn't know if they had the coaches through previous, spots been at, et cetera. So that was more my question.
Jhead, did you catch that?
No, I did not. What was
Say that again.
It was more of have anybody that y'all would say he would be connected to from previous stops that would be a potential
previous stops connected to that could be a potential hire at Auburn. Rich has been at Auburn for a long time. I think back probably 15 years now. Cohen, besides Mississippi State, he was at Kentucky, Florida.
And those were on the baseball side of the house. Now, granted, look.
Yeah, he's a baseball guy.
Yeah, all coaches know coaches, when you're in a department talk, they know each other. They're friendly with each other as far as that's concerned. But there's no one that comes to mind that pops where I say, yeah, this person knows this person. There's a connection there.
Right.
As Keith said, and I would love for Keith to jump in here, every AD has a short list, okay? let's talk about when John Cohen parted ways with Joe Moorhead. All right. They pursued, I think, Joe Judge, who was connected to the university, and then they went directly to Mike Leach. And I do believe at one point Billy Napier was in the mix. So those were the three guys that he targeted. One was connected to the university. Billy Napier was the hottest name in the group of five at the time, and Mike Leach was somebody that obviously has been a program builder. So all differing backgrounds, none of which I think were overly connected to Cohen. I think he just made his assessment of these are guys that I think can fix Mississippi State.
Hey, good stuff, 33. We appreciate the call, big dog.
Appreciate you guys.
Non-4. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Scott from Virginia.
What's up, Scotty?
Hey, listen, man, I think I nailed Hartwell. Is that correct?
I would say that you've been proved to be right, Scott. As far as so far.
All right. So look, Cohen. If we go with a Mississippi State athletic director who has hired two basketball coaches that have failed, football coaches that have failed, back to back, right? The guy after 2 years they got rid of him.
Moorhead.
I see why the Auburn people are confused.
If you're looking to Mississippi State to elevate your athletic department, you're doing it wrong. Is that kind of what you're feeling there, Scott?
Well, I feel like Cohen is the right guy that he'll push back. He's a fighter.
Oh,
he's got a little push to him, and he's not gonna get bullied by, some of the people that everybody says, wants to get their way, the money people. But here's what I'd like to say is that this athletic director, he's not going to have anything to do with hiring this coach. If they put Cohen in that seat, Jimmy Sexton's picking that coach. That's it.
So you're an advocate for Cohen?
No. But I'm saying if they put him in there, Jimmy Sexton's got control.
What do you mean?
I'm not sure I'm tracking on that, Scott. I'm interested to hear.
Jimmy Sexton or Jimmy Rain?
Jimmy Sexton.
The agent.
Explain what I mean, because I'm getting some push. It's vibrating the phone, but just bear with me.
Okay.
If they hire Cohen, he will hire a great baseball coach. If you need one down the road, no doubt. He cannot hire a basketball coach. That's proven. That's his weak spot, and we got the best in the business. So there's two spots where gold. He won't pick the football coach.
Oh.
It'll be Jimmy Sexton. It'll be the same way they did at Ole Miss when they got Kiffin. Nobody wanted Kiffin, so Ole Miss got lucky. But I'm telling you, the guy that is going to hire this next football coach is Jimmy Sexton. If Jimmy Sexton doesn't have a coach that Auburn wants, he'll put it to one of his buddies, the other agent. But he's in control if Cohen sits in that athletic director's seat. Trust me, I'm right.
Dude, I want to have a bourbon with Scott. I mean, sit around the campfire with a big old bottle of bourbon, Scott. I'd love to listen to you.
To hedge your bets, and I agree with you. Look, Sexton's got the most pieces on the chessboard. Okay, CAA controls a large majority of the college football coaching world. Two guys that we've talked very cleverly on the show.
It doesn't have to be. It's verbatim back. It doesn't have to be one of Jimmy's guys, but he's going to have control because Cohen cannot hire the football coach. If he knows he has to get out of Mississippi State right now, because if they lose to Ole Miss the third time in the Egg Bowl, they're going to be so apathetic at Mississippi State, and they're going to turn on Cohen. He knows he's got to get out. This is a Jimmy Sexton move right here.
He's putting Cohen in the seat, and he will hire the football coach.
But I need to go get my aluminum foil.
Literally, Jeffrey, I was like, where's my hat?
I like it, Scott. I love it.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
The person that sits in that seat is not going to pick the football coach.
Now, let me ask you something, Scott.
They got to get a yes person. And I just want to say real quick, the last time I called, I wasn't taking shots at Jhead at all. I listened to Jhead. I think he's great. This is an all-star panel. I wouldn't even have called in. But I'm telling you, I have a partner. I have a firm. And he deals with some of these people. And I'm telling you that Jimmy Sexton, this is a classic Jimmy Sexton move. You didn't listen to him last time. And he's going to put a guy in there that he has total control over, and he's going to hire the football coach. And whether he uses it through his agency or he uses the guy down in Florida, the guy that has the guy at LSU and a few of the other ones, he'll pass it to a friend, but he's making the hire.
Damn.
Will the hire be a good hire? That's really all I care about.
Will he be able to recruit?
Hey, man.
Hey,
Well,
You have faith in Sexton to
if it was a couple years ago, would Auburn have hired Pittman? You answer that for me, and I'll answer it.
Well, I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so either.
no, they had zero interest in
Right.
Kiffin 2 years back.
So what I'm saying is he's got to put somebody in that seat that doesn't piss off the Alabama midget. Okay? I can't stand that dude. Sorry to talk that way. That was rude. But I'm just saying.
You're fine.
He will hire this coach. If they put Cohen in that seat, it's done.
So
If they can't hire, I'm going to make one last thing. I'm get off. They can't hire Hugh Freeze. I told you, call him from Virginia. If they investigated Hugh Freeze at Liberty, forget Ole Miss, they wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. He's been clean for about 6 or 8 months because I suspect he thought he could get this job. But I'm telling you, if they looked into him at Liberty, they wouldn't like what they see. I appreciate y'all. I want to listen. Thank y'all for doing this tonight. I was really wondering if you would. Thank you a lot. And Justin, your point earlier, what you made was absolutely brilliant. And
Which one?
everybody will probably copy it over the next few days. But it was on point before you went on that phone.
Which one, Scott?
Go ahead, what?
Which one? He's made a lot of good points.
The one, no, the last point he made before he went on the phone, where he talked about, what the head coach, there's nobody knows who that is. You know what I mean? That he had an idea if it was Hartwell.
Yeah.
Those things that he was saying are 100% correct. I'm telling you that if Cohen sits in that seat, it's going to be a 50-50 coin flip on what kind of coach we get. It's scary.
Whether it be a Jimmy Sexton client or a
I lost the point that he made was that he said you can't be scared of making the wrong hire. That was the brilliant point, because if you are scared of making the wrong hire or have the disaster for a hire, you're going to make the disaster of a hire. All right, I appreciate you guys.
awesome call there, Scotty. We appreciate you, big dog. I'm gonna be disappointed if we have shows where you don't call in.
There you go.
Sorry about hopping on the phone.
I didn't know you were on it. I'm telling you, this dude's got cameras up. He got spies in your wall.
Look, he leaned back like he was Jimmy Sexton on the phone taking an important call right there.
I was trying to find out something, yes.
Okay. All right. Zach, are we one more?
No, 2 more.
Okay.
Okay.
0506. You're live. Who we talking to? Where you calling from?
There you go. Hey, what y'all doing, man?
I don't know. Well, who about you?
Who this is? Listen, I'm not bringing in X-Files, but I think the Cowboy and the Admiral need to get together and talk with Dr. Roberts and put a little bit of input into it and let the man hire who he thinks will do the job. And then we'll be all right. Auburn ain't going no dang where. We've been this way before. We'll pull out of it. But I think we're going to be all right. I would love to see somebody like Dale McGee. Let's go. Babbo did it, so why can't Dale do it? He knows.
Well, yeah.
He's a smart guy. He's mama calling. Come on, baby.
It's a great call.
I want to change my bottle of bourbon around the campfire from Scotty to Bo from Moody.
Hey.
I know that guy's had a Diablo sandwich before. Okay.
No, this is Hawkbone, man.
Oh, Hawkbone!
That's a fine bomb quality call.
That 100%. That is Charles from Real Town quality right there.
Yes.
Hogbone.
Yes, sir.
What did you have for supper tonight?
Well, I had a little bit of coon meat left, so I made a little stew. It's getting kind of cold on these bones. And went out and did a little walking around, see if I could find some more tonight to stack up. But
A little coon stew, huh?
yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
You have any cornbread to dip in there?
Well, you know it.
Okay.
I make cornbread.
All right, then.
Lima beans, big old butter beans. Yes, sir.
Hogbone, I like your style, big dog.
Oh, man, we'll be all right. Everybody just needs to take one back. I'm kidding a little bit, but, seriously, we do need to take a little step back and not be so, like hellfire and brimstone's going to fall on Auburn if something happens, Take a deep breath. Let the process play out.
I like your style.
That's the way it is, man.
That's the way it ought to be.
Chill, baby.
Chill. Hippie redneck right here, Hogbone.
Little Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson.
Hey, it's a red-headed stranger, baby.
Hogbone, where are you from?
Well, I'm over here between Green Pond and West Blocker.
The police are coming for you. You better get out of there.
That's me.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, let me mute out, man.
Oh my
God, I know where to go.
He's got an escape route. He's got a shelter.
Hey, that too, that smoke. I use wood. It don't smoke too much, yo.
Okay. You don't use that pine.
Oh hell no, that's smoke.
Yeah. All right, Hogbone, we appreciate it. You're gonna be like Scott now. If you don't call in on the show, we're gonna be disappointed.
Man, I'm gonna try to, buddy.
All right.
A little bit down in had that COVID and everything, but I'm all right.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, COVID. Go on now. I don't want no excuses. Go on, hike up to the top of that mountain and get you a cell service and call in.
We'll make a priority. Yes, sir. We certainly will. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, Hogbone.
Hey, you too. Y'all have a good night.
Yes, sir. You too.
Oh, last caller of the night.
Zach, what are you taking a deep breath for?
Hey, man. 8995. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Howdy, my name's Griffin. I'm sorry, I have a bad echo. But I'm calling from Mania, North Carolina.
Griffin?
Yes, sir.
All right, what's up, Griffin?
Not much. A name I haven't heard much for the Athletic. director has been, I think it's John. One second. I'm going back to the speaker because I'm looking at John Gilbert, ECU.
John Gilbert. Didn't you mention him at one point, Justin?
John Gilbert?
Jhead, that name sound familiar?
John Gilbert? No.
Where's he?
What's it in relation to?
He was originally at Southern Mississippi. Before he was at ECU, and before that, he was the associate director at Tennessee when Bruce Pearl was there in 2011.
I've not heard that name.
I have heard that name, and I don't know where I heard it.
I haven't heard his name much, at least in the Auburn circles, but considering what he's done at the ECU program, because he came in right after the guy who got hired after Ruffy and McNeil got axed because they botched that hiring after they fired Ruffian over really bogus things.
Scotty Montgomery was who we were talking about.
He came in and got Mike Houston.
So what do you think? You think he should be in play?
I think he should be in play because one of the big things he did at ECU was, for starters, he fleshed out the entire athletic department in terms of support staff, in terms of getting donations for big projects, especially for the stadium reconstruction they did, which is something that has been floated around Jordan Hare for a while now. And I mean, he's a guy who has been remarkably stable everywhere he went. Before Tennessee, he was the bad guy at Alabama, or at least one of the bad guys in the late 2000s.
What did he do?
Already has a familiarity in the area. He was one of the people who was in charge of getting donations for the department. This is like early 7 years.
So you're talking about like Drake Kirkpatrick donations, or?
He was part of the Crimson Tide charity thing and helped raise a bunch of the money, kind of the early days of Seven. That's all I know.
Okay.
About him at Alabama.
Brent Calloway. People like
at ECU is, I mean, he's made good, maybe not necessarily like conventional.
Well, you know what? Maybe Chris Roberts is listening.
Let me be quite frank with you. And I don't know how Justin feels about this, but for me right now, I guess kind of what my gut is telling me, if this does not work with Cohen, if they decide to not pursue that direction, and as of tonight, I think that's what the president still intends to do. But it's going to be Rich McGlynn if this doesn't happen. I think they're going to move pretty quickly, or that would be – I don't believe they're going to reset the board and bring in new candidates. Now, maybe they bring in somebody they vetted before and they decide to turn to that person, but I don't see them completely opening this thing back up. I do think we're on an expedited timetable here.
Yeah, I think – Justin, do you agree it's either John Cohen or Rich McGlynn at this point? And I don't want to – I don't want to pin you down.
No, I do. I mean, I think that's probably the most likely situation. I do think, Hartwell is a guy that has made no bones about it. He would love to be the Auburn AD. So you could probably still salvage that. But I don't know that for sure. But given the way this has gone down, everybody else is probably, potentially could say, I don't want to be a second choice. Rich would have no problem with that. Hey, just give me the job. So probably, yeah. And it's just going to be a weird. Here's the other thing, man. Like, not only is Roberts, I think, trying to figure out right now what to do potentially, but let's just say hypothetically, he's in his office somewhere and he's like, you know what, I can't do it. Now there's the whole conversation of how do we do this? You're just hypothetically speaking for a minute, and we don't know. Like, I would kind of probably I would still lean towards Cohen getting the job, barely. Yeah. I think it's toss-up. But if it's not, they're going to have – I don't see a choice but to let him come out and say, I don't really know where that came from. I'm good here at Mississippi State. Like, they're going to have to let him say whatever he wants. If Mississippi State will even – take him back, but I don't know. I was told that they love him, so that shouldn't be a problem. But then how do you spin it? How do you spin it if You got to let him say what he's got to say. And then if that does happen, yeah, I think they would move real quick to get somebody in. I mean, it would be like he makes his thing, boom, boom. He wasn't a candidate. We're not sure where that came from. This is our guy. Boom, hired. It couldn't be the Cohen thing happens and then we go another 4 or 5 days. Like it's going to have to happen really quick. It's just that's a whole thing that would have to be orchestrated and figured out. Because you can't screw John Cohen. Like he can't be hung out to dry. He's gonna have to be able to say, I don't know what this is all about. Like that's just gonna have to happen.
And you know what? It almost did. I would. Don't you think? Without that leak Saturday, John Cohen is named athletic director today.
Yeah. The way Thamel
and everybody would have been like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yeah.
Or where'd he come from?
Yeah.
And it's boom. The press release is in your box.
Yep, Thamel and Ross Dellinger right on his heels. I mean, so that tells you there wasn't an exclusive source there. There was an agent that both those guys know, or it was boom, boom. During the Auburn game, it was definitely orchestrated. And generally, when those guys do it, a press release is not far behind.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing this a week out. That means like it's about to happen. So yes, I think.
Be on the lookout for a press release.
Yeah, it very well could have happened that afternoon. It could have potentially happened Saturday afternoon, if not Sunday. Yeah.
Any chance that Cohen's agent released the news as a way to get him a contract renegotiation with Mississippi State?
I don't think so. He just got one. He's making 1.1 now. I think he got 3 months ago. And listen, the contract extension and all that doesn't move the needle for me at all about whether or not how he sits over there. But no, I don't think. I mean, he just got one 3 months ago for. I think he went from $850 to $1.1 million. So you're looking at a 15 to 20% raise. I can't imagine an AD wanting more than that.
I don't know that there was anything nefarious. I think the deal was probably Roberts. From what I understand, I mean, that was the deal. Like from what I understand, Roberts told right after the game. I mean, it broke obviously, but Roberts told, from what I understand, McGlynn after the game Saturday, hey, that's the direction we're going. Like I don't think it was anything nefarious. I think it was this is who we're going to hire. The process is going. An agent leaks it. I just don't think Roberts expected the blowback. That was unexpected. And so I don't think it was like something to get Cohen a D. I don't know. I think they just were like, we're going to hire him, and then it just went sideways the last 24 hours. But it's not over. There. I mean, I know that. I know as of last night, I know that Roberts was even after those phone calls and stuff. I know that Roberts was still telling people it's not over. Like this is not. So all the stuff about finalized, none of that's true. None of that's true.
Hey, Griffin, we appreciate the call, big dog.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on, guys.
Hey, Zach, we'll hit some. Before we do it, there was a question right off the top of the show about Bayfall. Bayfall's visit. I think this is something that everybody is on the channel at least is interested in. Yep, there you go. Stereotypical Auburn fan. I think it's right off the top. Bayfall is a 5-star center, number 12 overall player in the 2023 class. Dude is 6'10", 6'11". He's not very. He doesn't have a lot of weight, but he's very comparable in size to Jabari Smith, and Auburn's pitching that to him. Bayfall came back for a second official visit on Thursday. He left on Saturday after the game. He will announce his decision on November the 15th and then sign right after he announces the early signing period begins November 9th. And he came back for a second official visit. He's also got Arkansas, Seton Hall, and Rutgers as his Final Four. Nobody I talked to thinks it's going to be anybody other than Auburn or Arkansas. Arkansas has been the presumed favorite for a while now. His friend and fellow Senegal resident basketball recruit, Hassan Diop, they both live in the same home. They're in Colorado. Hassan is no longer in Auburn's plans. Do they want to play together? That was a big deal. Now it's not so much. I thought it was interesting that Bay told me that they may or may not play together. So a lot to consider when talking about where he's going to end up. To me, to be honest with you, I was talking on the phone up until late last night, digging around. I don't think he's made a decision yet. This is like stereotypical Auburn fan said. It's hard to say. I think there's a lot working in Auburn's favor here. I really do. And there's a reason he came back. And as I wrote in the Hoop Scoops on Friday, there's a reason he came back to Auburn, and it wasn't to commit to Arkansas. So, was the visit enough to put Auburn over the top? Justin, you think so?
I did. I put in a prediction for him. Yeah, I figured why not. Prediction's not a guarantee, by the way. I feel like I put a prediction and everybody's like, we got him. I'm like, we need to go back over definitions, I think, of what predictions and guarantees mean. I thought I liked where Auburn stood. I liked the momentum. I thought there was a commitment there to land him. And,
I mean, even during the visit, somebody asked me, and I was like, I would give Auburn the slight edge right now, but it's because he's back. And even after talking to him Saturday after his visit, him telling me that there was even an opportunity or a possibility that him and Hassan Diop do not play together, I thought was very telling. I know Auburn's coaches feel like they have a great shot here. I don't think it's done at all. I don't think they think it's done at all. He's going to go home. He's going to talk it over with his host family, who they have connections to Arkansas. His host family does. Hassan will probably end up like Colorado or somewhere. I know Arkansas is the favorite for him, but I don't think he's a slam dunk to Arkansas. So, Jhead, what are your thoughts on Bayfall?
Well, first of all, fantastic player. Obviously, like I said, running five that has the ability to change the game from defensively speaking, and falls into a line of bigs that Bruce has recruited, similar to Walker Kessler, Jabari Smith, Chuma Okeke, all that have the ability to play inside and outside. I agree that the need that Auburn has with the potential of Janai Broome moving on to the NBA after next year, how they've put bigs into the NBA, and the reality is, as good a coach as Eric Musselman is, he's not really put a big in the NBA yet. He can't say that. He can't sell that. So the need, the development that Auburn's been able to show, Bruce's resume in and of itself, I think there are a lot of things lining up there. And I agree with Justin. If I were able to put in a prediction, I would for Bayfall to Auburn. I do that saying I don't know that he's made a decision, obviously. And I haven't heard anybody say that he's definitively made a decision about where he's going. But if we're reading the tea leaves, as Keith Neal would say, I like the trail that we've got going right now.
I completely agree, and as I said, I had 55% Auburn's got just from standing back, and I thought the Arkansas big, the Musselman I think Jalen Williams is his first big, similar. I thought Bayfall talking about how Auburn's pitching the Jabari Smith role to him. He really likes that. He loves the track record of Bruce Pearl, and again, man, there's a reason he came back. I mean, it's not like he needed to come back and he came back for a reason. And
right close to signing day too. It's not like he's got a backup trip to Arkansas there.
So yeah, gun to my head, I've got Bayfall to Auburn. Now, I feel like in a few days, maybe by this time next week, which will be Sunday, I think he is making a decision. When is November the 15th? Tuesday?
Yeah, the day after. What is it? The Monday after the A&M game, I think.
Maybe a Wednesday.
Tuesday.
I feel like I'll know much more, and I don't want to. I feel like I have some type of indication. Let's put it that way. At some point, and I don't want to be flip flopping, but I do think Auburn's the team to beat. Just they've got a lot of things lined up for them right now. You don't have to worry about NIL being an issue. Whatever gray areas there are for these international students, Auburn is going to take advantage of it. I'm sure Arkansas will too, but there's not going to be an advantage for Arkansas when the NIL comes into play. And then basically the boxes to check for Bayfall and what he's looking for, Auburn has them all. Arkansas doesn't. Mm-hmm. So that stereotypical Auburn fan, I think he's Auburn's right now. He's not Auburn's right now. My guess is he'll end up choosing Auburn right now. I think that's what Justin's saying too. His guess is Fall will end up at Auburn. And I think Jhead just said the same.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw him on Friday. Went to basketball practice and he was there. Having a good time. Talking with coaches while he was there, and everybody's spending time with him. And man, skinny kid. The Jabari role, it's funny you say that. That would make sense. I mean, he looks like, he's so freaking lean. He would be that wing guy. He get broken down low at the moment, but
yeah.
But he's but he was out there kind of shooting jumpers kind of effortlessly. He's Jabari, he's not.
Has he got a pretty shot like Jabari?
Oh, not like Jabari, but
okay.
It's
like Jabari is smooth. I mean, he's got.
That's stupid good, but yeah, he and look, the other thing is he was the only guy. Well, you had Ty Price, right? But
yeah, Ty Price.
It was really just baseball.
Yeah, so Ty Price.
All the attention from the players. They went out Friday night.
Janai was all over him.
Yeah, never mind.
Hey, another guy. While we're talking basketball recruiting, that Justin put in a prediction for, and is 5-star Ace Bailey in the 2024 class, power forward from McEachern in Powder Springs, Georgia.
Big one.
I can't find anybody that doesn't think that kid's going to end up at Auburn that knows what he's talking about. But I had seen a couple of people on the board, and if, I hope you're listening, if it was you, about possible reclassification to the 2023 class. I checked on that, and he doesn't need to reclassify. He needs to physically mature a little bit more. He needs another year at high school is what I was told. So I do, as of right now, after talking to a couple of people, I don't expect him to reclassify. I expect him to be part of a huge and monumental basketball recruiting class at Auburn in 2024. That class right there is going to be fun to cover. It's going to be fun to follow for fans. Bruce Pearl in 2024, and man, that class is loaded. Peyton Marshall, Ace Bailey, they've got studs, and they've all already been to Auburn several times. They're coming back. It's going to be fun.
Bruce for president, 2024.
BP, baby. BP 24. All right, Zach, hit us up with a couple more, man. We'll lighten around this shit to the end.
There you go.
There's 33 again. No, you were able to call in.
Yeah, he called in. Yeah.
All right, we hit this one already, Zach. Andrew Ackerman, has anybody thought about the fact that Auburn will lack of talent next year no matter who the coach is? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I thought about it, yeah. It's crossed my mind.
That's why I said you got to be an elite recruiter coming in, man. You would have hit that transfer portal hard. You have that NIL ready to go. And Keith would say you got to build a team out of the portal, but you better build a program out of high school. I love it.
Patience.
Patience.
Please.
I don't know who you're talking to about patience.
Oh, NH 34-25. Who would be a home run? I think Justin touched on this. We were talking about either a bunch of money men would like a home run hire AD or Rich McGlynn, and they didn't think Cohen was the home run hire. Who would be a home run hire as AD? I have no idea. My knowledge of AD hemisphere is very limited. Keith said, "I'm the expert." Let me get in here, big dog.
A guy that most people would consider a home run hire is probably a guy that's not going to be told what he can and can't do. So maybe be careful what you wish for there.
Can't have it both ways, can you, Ben?
I don't think so.
Bring Jacobs home. Y3. Why?
I think I would have liked Eddie Nunez.
Basketball guy.
I think there was, I know Greg Sankey absolutely loves him, and Greg Sankey's a pretty smart individual, but that one's gone now.
Y Cubed wanted to bring Jacobs back home.
Hey, look, man. Give him credit because he hired the current baseball coach and the current basketball coach. Now, look,
I absolutely give him credit, and he put that damn scoreboard up there.
Yeah, look, hey, the J-Botron.
Jonathan Hubbard makes a great point here. If McGlynn is named AD, then the assessment will be quicker, right? I would absolutely expect it to be yes.
I don't. I think it's the same timeline.
Okay, there you go.
I think it's A&M either which way.
Maybe 5 minutes quicker.
Yeah, that's about it. I think it's A&M.
I completely agree. The shelf life on him is Hugh Raley, why is JC bad for Auburn? Inquiring minds. I don't know that he is bad for Auburn. The only thing I've heard about him professionally is good things. I haven't heard anything negative. Like that's why I was saying earlier. I don't know that it was anti John Cohen as much as it was pro Rich McGlynn. And I'm just guessing here, Justin Jhead.
I don't know what John Cohen professionally to weigh in. What I can say is he's a veteran SEC athletic director that's gone through coaching searches both in basketball, baseball, and football. So from that standpoint, he's got experience. But other than that, as far as his working relationships are concerned with his coaches and the people that matter within that program, I don't know enough to say.
Justin, you good with that?
Yeah. I don't know enough about him. I've heard little things. Don't know enough about him. Had a concern that he's a pretty tough, hard-nosed, to the point kind of individual. There was a little bit of concern that he might come in and kind of turn some tables over, and they were wondering, hey, we can't go through that. Like we need to just build bridges. And is he a bridge builder, or is he a, you're fired, piss everybody off, rebuild the thing? And there was concern about that, but I don't know enough about the guy to know if he'd be good or bad for Auburn, other than if people that you need to be aligned aren't behind him, he's bad for Auburn. So
yeah,
that doesn't work.
Flip.
I know that he's hired real quick a couple basketball coaches that people say hasn't really worked out or whatever, but their men's basketball programs won 4 SEC titles in 60 years and hasn't been to a Final Four in 26 years and only one in school history. More often than not, you are going to hire somebody that doesn't work out there. That's just the history of the basketball program there, to be honest.
And I think the prior basketball coach for the men's side, that Ben Howland, was hired by the prior AD, Scott Strickland, I believe. Now, I could be wrong.
I think you're right. I think it was 15 the year before.
Right. Now, he did just hire Chris Jans, who I'm extremely high on, that's had a very major career. So I think it's TBD there. But like you said, the biggest knock is probably the women's basketball situation and then the football situation.
Yeah. I would like to know why they're legitimately would like to know why their attendance is struggling, like why that's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. Maybe I know a Mississippi State person would know better. I don't really get that, because they've had a pretty good team the past 2 years and a team that scores a ton of points. I don't really.
Hey, that's next one. Flip Hardy is straight for Keith Niebuhr, man.
You think Dillingham could come take over head coach?
Oh, this is right up Keith's alley right here, big dog.
You look like Dillingham, by the way.
He's too young. What is he, 32, 33 years?
Way too young.
Could he do it? Probably. I mean, a lot of guys could. I think it's a fantastic job. I think a lot of guys could do what could and would do well at Auburn. I think Arizona State, and apparently, I don't think he's. The last I heard, he wasn't a strong candidate at Arizona State. But people go back and forth on that. But to me, that's where he could do well, because he's so plugged in that local high school community: Saguaro High, Desert Mountain, Chaparral, all the big schools in Phoenix, Scottsdale, in that area, Tempe. He knows everybody, and they love the guy. That's the school that he needs to be the head coach at.
Del McGee is a popular guy that always gets brought up in the Auburn circles, man. Cedric Johnson wants to know. I just don't know about. I know Del McGee's a great recruiter. I know he's a thorn in Auburn's side when it comes to recruiting, historically, I should say. But I don't think he's even been a coordinator, has he? He's a
position coach the entire way.
Yeah. So who knows? He might be the Kirby Smart Keith was talking about.
I honestly think because Dale has not been a coordinator, and that's the difference to me between somebody like him and Kirby, where there was an apprenticeship for 10 years underneath Saban. Saban's a defensive guy, and he was valued enough to coordinate that defense and also be his associate head coach. Dale is obviously a fantastic recruiter, but I think his next step, if he's going to be a head coach, is going to be at the G5 level. He's up for the Charlotte job right now. He's in contention there. My guess is his name would pop for UAB should they have an opening. I think he would probably be a draw there. And he's been mentioned in connection to the Georgia Tech position, which is also obviously with his roots in Georgia, probably could be a very good recruiter for a school that is deficient as far as athletic funds are concerned and probably doesn't have a lot of NIL opportunities to offer, if I had to guess, given the financial struggles that they've had.
I keep hearing that Georgia Tech's ready to spend a boatload of money. We'll see. We'll see. Charlotte would be a good opportunity for Dell and make his mark there. At a program like that, people know it's difficult to win. So if you go out and you can, by year 2 or 3, win 8 or 9 games, then you move on to that next job. So
right.
Good luck to
Coach wants to know if any of the coaches on staff will be retained. Well, there is not an opening yet, but Man, you got to think at least for the short term.
Yeah, what are we talking about? New with the new staff? Or
He's got to mean long term going into next year. That's got to be what he's asking.
No way to know that. But.
Yeah, it all depends on the head coach.
Yeah,
a new head coach may have connections with some of these guys.
Sure.
Right.
Might making a great first impression on his interview. Might want to keep him around for recruiting purposes. Who knows? He might have his own guys, just like Keith always says.
And Zach and Caddy are to me probably the two that have some support from people here. Hey, look, can we try to keep these dudes on? They're important to Auburn. Not to mention good football coaches.
Can Auburn get the OC from U of GA? I mean, won a title with Stetson Bennett. Peepass.
I heard his name. What's funny is somebody mentioned his
name. Who is it, Keith?
Todd Monken. But here's dude, Stetson Bennett has turned out to be much better than people thought. But he also has, can we agree, a world of talent around him. Again, your call, and this is a great question, P. But sometimes a great call. I mean, there's plays that Eric Kiesau's called this year that are great plays, but it doesn't matter because they ain't got the dudes. You know what I mean? So I think Jeffrey and Justin and Jhead have all made the point. They got to get somebody that can get you the dudes. And then all of a sudden, every play call looks a little better.
Right. As I told my dad, I could win 8 games at Alabama right now. What, you don't believe me? Every one of us could win 8 games at Alabama right now.
Well, with Bill O'Brien calling your plays?
Hell no. I'm Tecmo bowling, baby.
Oh, okay.
I got my 4 plays. Run left, run right, pass left.
Who was the fastest guy in Tecmo Bowl? Was it Bo or Dion?
Bo.
And wasn't there a third guy that was?
I don't think Dion was on the original Tecmo Bowl.
I don't remember Dion.
I know there was another guy that was really fast. It was also an Auburn guy. If you ever had a fluky play, Al Del Greco was running like 3.9 40-yard dashes on that thing.
You're talking about like Tecmo Bowl 6, man. We're talking about OG Tecmo Bowl.
Okay.
where you could drop back with John Elway and throw it 100 yards. Connor Spivey wants to know, everybody's saying Dion. What's the odds of Auburn getting Dion? Like, is it even possible? I said it was below 0.
He's got that. Does he mean Dion Warwick? Because that's how the first name is spelled. I don't think she's up for the job.
D1.
I've changed stance there.
I hear you.
I think Dion is going to get an interview. What happens beyond that, I have no clue. To say that he would be an odds-on favorite would be a complete fallacy. But I think there is legitimate interest by certain people, and I do think he's going to get spoken to. Now, what happens after that, I don't know.
I hope he does. I hope he gets a job interview. I still think there's the odds of him being Auburn's next head coach. I'll take anybody's bet that wants to send it my way.
Let me ask you.
I agree, and I told our board, I said in the beginning he would get it. He would get a look. He'd get a legitimate look. I think there's people
You've got to
that want to give him a legitimate look. But past that, The thought of him being hired at Auburn is just, it's almost impossible. I mean, there's so many things about that.
Now, hey, you asking my opinion? Hire him. I'd love it.
Actually, hey, to be real, I don't know who I would back. I've come around more on him. Like, look, what do I know about any of these head coaching candidates? I don't know a lot. I feel like the only thing I am the most confident in is Deion Sanders would, 1, put together a staff, and 2, recruit. I feel like that's the only thing I do know would happen.
It would be so fun to cover recruiting.
I don't know if he'd win, but I feel pretty good that he'd put a staff together and he'd recruit some insane talent.
Who's one guy, forget about Deion, who's one guy each of you guys would like to see an interview? And I'll start. And for me, I'd love to see Joe Witt Jr. get an interview. Okay. So how about you guys? I throw that over to you guys. There's one guy besides Deion, besides the obvious guy.
Besides Lane Kiffin, besides Matt Rule.
Yeah. I'll give you one. John Summerall at Troy would love to get hired. I've been a fan of John's for a long time. Followed his career some. I think he's a very dynamic young coach. It's an excellent recruiter with obvious in-state connections. And if you remember that piece by The Athletic, when they talked about schools that have done the best job recruiting the state of Alabama, Summerall and Troy were the number one name listed.
You got Summerall. I got Joe Witt Jr. I know who Jeffrey's going with. I think I know. He's down where I'm at.
Sure. Oh, for sure. Travis Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him an interview.
Absolutely, man. He's earned that.
Yeah, let him have the experience, even if you're going to go in another direction. You owe him that, quite frankly.
Absolutely. The way he he deserves.
Finish your thought.
Well, all I know is that his interview to be retained was.
Who you got?
I think bad ball was the word used.
Go ahead, Hope. Please save me.
No, please finish. I don't know. I'd go with T. Will probably. I don't know. I can't think of any off the top of my head that I would like to see get an interview.
Thinking of past coordinators, even dating back to Tuberville, past assistant coaches that are now coordinators. T. Will's all I got.
I was going to say, I figured you were going to go man crush Will Muschamp.
Ah, man, you don't bother him with the interview. You just hire him.
Somebody legit brought him up to me again recently. I'm like, I'm like, what? I love him, but two chances now. I mean, things have not,
Hey, Saban had a chance at Miami. He didn't do too well. I'm just kidding, dude.
Always hire Will Muschamp. You would never go wrong if you hire Will Muschamp at Auburn for anything. You just hire Will Muschamp to Auburn, and people are gonna be like, yes,
great hire.
Yeah, let him drop MFs on the sideline. You got the whole package.
Great hire.
If you let Harsin go today, who would be the interim? I think Zach would be.
Interim. Yeah, Zach would be. It would be Zach. It's just whether or not they do it. He would take it. He might not. You might not want to put him in that position. But
let's see. Hey, I got a question real quick from my buddy Keith. He wants to know how's Harsin still employed? I think we both all agree that he's going to be employed until an AD is made, assessment is made, and a decision is made. So
I wondered when it took him an hour and 20 minutes to find the media room after the Arkansas game. I wondered.
Me too. I did too. When you told me that after an hour, I thought
what he does is he does everything. Team. Talks to his family, takes a shower, changes clothes, does everything in the media, and then he hits the media and he's gone. So it's like everybody else can just wait an hour and 20 minutes. I'll roll in there when I'm good and ready.
Oh, JP's got one for you, Keith. Keith. DJ Chester is the four-star offensive lineman from
McDonough, Eagles Landing. Kirsten.
Eagles Landing.
He thought the show was over, so Keith kind of adjusted positions on this. Well, he's going to announce his decision Thursday. LSU is the favorite in the recruiting machine prediction for On3, but he just officially visited Michigan this weekend, so we don't know. Auburn has felt like it has made a huge push in recent weeks. We've heard NIL is going to be a big factor in his recruitment as well. We haven't heard that from him, but we've heard that through the grapevine. But we don't know. Jeffrey and I are going to have to do some digging on that one.
I will say, JP, my little digging since he announced that is – I don't think it's Auburn if he announces third.
Because just last week he told us, Auburn Live, he told Cole Pinkston that he wasn't going to decide for a while. And now all of a sudden he's announcing Thursday. So sometimes the recruits associate us with the schools that we cover. And so that seems ominous to me.
Yeah. I don't think that's a good look for doesn't look good for Auburn, I should say, with him coming back and making a decision. Connor Spivey, what's the probability of us getting Lane Kiffin? Now
I don't want
him. Justin doesn't want him.
I'd take him, but the percentage is low.
Okay.
I mean, I've been told straight up the percentage is
so low. Don't get my hopes up.
No, don't. I don't care who the athletic director is. Don't get your hopes up there.
I don't care. I'm not dying on the Lane Kiffin hill. I promise you. I think it would be fun, but his I've been warned about his media access, and I'm okay with it. I think it would be fun. I think he would be a great coach at Auburn. I think it would be a lot of fun. Zach, did we get caught up?
Yeah, there was one I couldn't find. I was trying to scroll through. They asked if Hugh Freeze's extension ruins our chances at getting Hugh Freeze if that was the way to go.
I think it's $5 million buyout.
It didn't. No, I think it's still 2.5. I don't think the buyout's changed at all. I think the buyout's all the same, but I would not say Freeze is the pick as of today.
And hell, who knows? Who knows? Hey, we're gonna wrap it up there, man. We appreciate everybody calling. Hey, before I go, man, gotta give a big how about you to Jessica Andrews, eXp Realty. Looking for a home in or around Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, Alabama? Give Jessica a call, man. She does residential investment properties going crazy right now down here in Auburn. If you're out of town guest, want to get in on that investment, great opportunity to do so. Give Jessica a call, 334-704-4442. She will hook it up. Tell her we sent you, man. She'll appreciate it. We will too. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for calling in. Anthony got us started big time tonight. Great call from Anthony. Tyler from Birmingham. Rod from the ATL. Mobile alum from from Spanish Fort. My apologies. Wrong end of the country. Wrong end of the state. WDE 33. Scott from Virginia. Woo-wee! No Hogbone. Scott and Hogbone back-to-back was about as good as it gets. and then Griffin finished us off. Had several questions in the comment box. We appreciate everybody. I didn't write it down. We were trying to get to everybody. So remember, Auburn Live on 3. We're going to be doing this all week long again. We're going to have you covered from A to Z and a little bit past that, maybe even 1 through 10. We don't know, but we'll be there. Get signed up. 50% off right now. First week is free. 50% off an annual subscription. Get signed up. Hit that like and subscribe button on this YouTube channel that you're watching right now. Auburn Live on 3 YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. We don't know what it does, but it does help us in some way. We would appreciate it. Thanks to everybody listening. Look at our YouTube page all the week long. We're going to have free content. We're going to be back Monday morning. Keith and I will be with Inside the 20. Justin will be all over the AD search. We will be all over recruiting. We'll be back to do this again Thursday with a modcast. Friday, Jhead will be back with us for the recruiting show. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Go subscribe. We appreciate y'all. For Justin, for Jhead, for Keith, for Zach in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay out of the left lane. See ya.